allow the user to compare historic demand of the homeless people with historical data. So if we go to the table of contents and click on historical comparison, the user can input a year, so let's say 2012, and then a state, and let's say Massachusetts. And from that, it will give you the output for and data for Massachusetts in 2012, the total homeless population, and the chronically homeless, and other data variables. So from that, the user can better predict demand and better understand the ongoing trends of homelessness in the United States. So next thing we want to allow the user to do is forecast the homeless population. So if we go to the homeless population forecast model, you'll see beyond the forecast demand tab. And from this, you can click the forecast. The forecast uses 4 different forecasting methods and uses quarterly data. And the return is the forecasting method with the least amount of error. So once we have the forecast with the least amount of error, it's going to show up in this bottom box with minimum MAPE 2.292% and the overall food insecure population. The food insecure population doesn't just include homeless people, but it also includes people who have very low income, who aren't able to buy food on a daily basis. So right here is the distribution of the amount of demand, and the distribution of each county with the overall demand they serve for the overall population. So you can see Middle Georgia represents 8.75% of the total food insecure population in this cell. Then you multiply it by the percentage by the total food insecure population to get the food insecurity rate. Using this food insecurity rate, we can go now forecast demand for Georgia. So go back to the table of contents and go to Georgia Food Kitchens. From this, we can get the demand. So click the Get Demand button. It's going to update, and then it'll tell me the demand divided by 1,000, just to keep things a little bit simple and easier to visualize. And it'll give us the demand for Atlanta. So after we have that demand, we're going to copy and paste this information and put it into our data tab. This is very important because the program reads all the information in from the data tab. So next we go to driving distance. Let's reset this and then go to calculate distance. Basically what this is a Google search query, and it's going to search the distances from the county shipping the food, which is on the y-axis, all the way to the county receiving food, which is on the x-axis. From this, you'll know the distance in miles from point A to point B. Now we go to shipping routes and go to create routes. It's going to prompt us to give us the cost of gas per mile, which is 0.15, and then click OK. And then it's going to give us the shipping dossier. So from Second Harvest all the way to coastal Georgia, you should ship 30 meals for a cost of $2.10 per meal with a total cost of $63. Now let's go to, so this is just on a very large scale basis because these are 7 of the largest food banks that serve the overall population. So on a more micro basis, however, let's imagine that there are 18 different food banks in a relatively small area, and one common issue is that food banks often don't speak to each other, so they don't really help each other out, which is definitely a huge issue, especially when the overarching goal is to improve the overall welfare of the homeless and the individuals who need this type of service. So using this larger data set of 18 different food kitchens, we put it into our data tab. So, and again, some food kitchens may have excess capacity, while others might be deficient in demand. So what's required is that they actually work together. So we go to shipping distance, reset the previous calculations, and go to calculate distance. And the search query is again going to calculate the distances between all these locations. So sometimes a -1 may appear. However, like what's happening right now. However, if that happens, all you have to do is press calculate distance again, and it will be fixed. So we'll press calculate distance, and then it should start updating as the program fixes itself. So now we double check that everything is all set, which it is. There are no -1s, and from that we can go to create shipping routes. So we're going to clear all the routes and then go to create routes. It's again going to prompt us the cost of gas per mile, which is about 15 cents. So given that you have a 20 miles per gallon car, that's about $3 per gallon or something like that. Then from that, it's going to create this shipping dossier. So from Baker all the way to Chatham, number of meals is 71, cost per meal is $2.50, the total cost is $177.50. The total savings is one feature that we added is for the users to see the total savings. So savings indicates how much you're going to save if you use the shipping route compared to if you don't and just buy all the deficient capacity based on the cost per meal that the deficient food kitchen can buy or make a meal at. And this, so it's in total, the shipping route's going to save $2,389.80, which is 17.02% of the total overall budget. So with this, we believe that food kitchens can become more and more efficient, and using the excess, the savings, they can reallocate the money to serve more people who need these types of services. The last thing that we did, if we go back to the table of contents, is to give some budgeting recommendations. So let's say I want to eradicate 20% of the homeless population and of the overall demand of the homeless population in terms of them needing food. So with 20%, it's going to require about $167 million. But as you can see, Atlanta still has a huge shortfall and will require a lot more funding. So let's say we're a little bit more optimistic and we believe that they can do 80%. The required budget is $670 million. However, as you can see, a lot of these food kitchens now have a more than sufficient budgeting and can actually contribute to pay off, decrease the shortfall of Atlanta right here, and also of primarily Atlanta. So that's primarily our project. Our project is very comprehensive, and we believe that it can be very useful to a lot of food kitchens in Atlanta and in the country.